And I think a lot of times is leaders forget this, Doug. They forget that attracting great talent requires that you have to brand yourself out there. So I'd love for you to talk about how you think sales leaders can attract and retain great sales talent.
Thank you, Mario. So there's a maxim, that a hiring maxim for sales leaders that I ascribe to. What's the true cost of a bad hire? And I try to eliminate that. And my organization and organizations that I've led for global sales teams, we ascribe to top grading. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's a HR hiring system developed by one of Jack Welch's, the former CEO of GE's HR leaders. And Jack recognized that they weren't attracting the right type of talent. And when they did, they weren't staying as long as he would have liked them. So one of his HR generals created a top grading system. And I would highly encourage anybody watching this podcast to get the book on top grading. And it really sets a process of, once you have an interested party where there's mutual value on each side from a skills perspective for the candidate, and they see the value to them from a culture, from a challenging position, a great opportunity to grow and potentially upskill and uptrain to become a sales leader. It's following this process and doing a great job in vetting their references. Many companies use a sales assessment tool like Gallup's Challenger or DISC. That's what we use. One component of the hiring process is to take those two assessments. We do not make our final determination on that. It's one piece of it. So, for example, in our organization, we have 2 DISC assessments. They're taken online, a series of 24 questions as it relates to sales aptitude, personality, leadership skills, and 7 core sales skills that are necessary for sales success. 24 questions, each takes about 20 or 30 minutes, then provides very deep reports and assessments on this candidate. One looks at behaviors, attitudes, and motivators in the context of professional selling and professional leadership. The other looks at, it's called the Sales Skills Index, that looks at 7 key areas of professional selling and sales leadership. Compares and contrasts their unique skills against a population database, 2 million, top 20%. So we take that data. We also do an exhaustive reference check, and we actually talk to these people. As you and I know, they're going to give you their friends, relatives, and, they can game the system a little bit on providing references. But what I look at, I look for consistency of word and deed, especially in their LinkedIn. If there's blocks of time or the dates don't match from one job to the next, and it just seems kludgy, that may not be a red flag, but it might be a yellow flag. So what we do is we look at them online, we do a live or Zoom interview, and then we have them meet other sales team members where we can do a 360 group sort of interview, take that feedback, and do a great job understanding mutual value from the employer and the candidate. We want to ensure that there's a great cultural fit, but also a compensation fit, that our insurance plan, our 401k, stock, everything is at a level that they're happy with. And then the last thing we do, which has been a game changer for us, if everything else vets out, the VP of HR, VP of sales, some of the sales team members, district managers, everybody likes this candidate. The last step is we tell them, thank you, you did a great job. The last step in the hiring process is we want you to create a 5-minute or less video on your phone. It doesn't have to be Star Wars, Disney, and answer these 2 questions. Why do you want to come to work for our organization, and why should we hire you? You would be amazed at how many people, their references vet, LinkedIn, all make sense, they're articulate, and we ask them for that 5-minute or less video and some about 15 to 18% never respond, drop off. Had they done that and it was good, we probably would have extended an offer. If you can't create a 5-minute or less video answering those two questions, why do you want to come to work for our organization and why should we hire you? You shouldn't be in sales and you shouldn't be a sales leader.
I love that. We use a similar approach. And in fact, if you typed in remote selling, you'll find our article on this. There's a section there in the remote salesperson hiring that we actually have a free, what do we call it? Interview template. And we do something a little bit different, but similar focus. And that is we have a 30-minute panel interview. That 30-minute panel interview is constructed to answer 3 questions. Why you, why the company, and why the product, as if you're talking to the buyer, right? So it requires you to do some research, understand what the buyer pain is. If your website is good enough, you should be able to find those things. Or if you've listened good enough, well enough inside of the interviews. And then we have this whole entire slate of panel, and it's surrounding cast members, including those that are going to work with that individual and a supporting cast member. And we have several different criteria that we're looking for on a scale of 1 to 5. And we essentially say, may the best man win. So if it's down to the final 2 candidates and you're kind of torn, you'll be able to see who can perform and who can't, who's lively, who can engage, who can record, hold a crowd, who can command a crowd. And we tell them to treat it just like a sales meeting. So how do you open it? How do you close it? What are you asking for? Are you asking for the business at the end of the sales call? This is a true sales call, and the product is you. And so it's a very similar approach in terms of what can we see out of this particular. And boy, those that you thought would accelerate didn't, and those that you thought that wouldn't accelerate it, showed some other qualities that you didn't quite see. It's a great way to do that as well.
That's excellent, Mario. And, 2 other things I'd like to add is, as you know, the profession of sales is evolving with AI, big data, elastic cloud, 5G, sales enablement. When they get past that 5-minute video, before we extend an offer, we like to understand their level of technical proficiency, Salesforce, sales enablement, CRM, the Office suite of products. And we also like to present to them, and this is another accelerant or game changer, is we show them the sales compensation plan and we show them their unique job scorecard. Most sales teams in the small to medium business space in our consulting experience do not have a detailed job scorecard or a simple 2-page or less sales compensation plan. I've seen 10-page compensation plans, and I know we're going to get to that in a moment, but showing them how they can, what are their KPIs, what's their base, what are the accelerators, and then how will they be measured, judged, and what is required of them.